Lovely fish on the flig. Okay, then our second video, I'd like to take you through the gear that I use, the rods, the reels, the fligs, the line, the backpack, all those little bits and pieces that sort of like help make a day successful when you're chasing bonefish, and in this case, chasing bonefish on spin tackle. I mean, chasing bonefish, particularly on fly, is very specialised. Fishing with spin tackle is specialised in its own way. I mean, you're using very light fligs, in this case. So you've got a very light flig, very light head, very light weight. Okay, you need to be able to cast that pretty much in 360 degrees, because you never really know which way the bonefish are going to come up onto the flats. But sometimes on slack water, fish can appear from any direction, so you really need to be ready to cast, and you really need to be scanning around in 360 degrees. Super long cast. This is a good fish. Flats Ferrari. Probably saw that fish at 40 feet. I thought I'd put it right on top of him, but obviously not. And up it came and bang. Didn't even have time to press record before I cast. It was just out the corner of my eye and there he was. Good fish. So you want a pretty specialised little outfit. So my first trip, I started off just one of these Team Daiwa paddle fish. I think it's a 2 to 5 kilo rod. It's about 7'4". Good whippy little rod. Paired that up to a Shimano Twin Power 3000. Try and go for a 3000 over a 2500. You get that deeper spool, and sometimes you do need that extra line. And this has been a great little outfit. Still using it on the second trip. Oh yeah, yeah, good one, good one. This one's for the 12-pound braid, and I've got a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader. So any quality braid. Don't buy the cheapest, you don't need to buy the most expensive. You try and find something in that medium range. Nice slippery braid is going to come off, and probably the biggest tip is try and keep your reel full. So it's always handy when you come on a trip like this to bring a couple of spare spools of braid. Your options when you get to Cocos can be pretty limited tackle wise, particularly if you want specialised tackle. So it's always handy to bring your own gear and bring your own backup equipment. So this is what I started with. As I said, I've used this year, and this was handy. But speaking with the guide, so the first time I fished with Risen from Chasing Island Tails. Great guide, learned a heap of stuff, had a real good time fishing with him. Yep. How good is that? 20 feet in front of me, made the cast, saw him turn onto it, bang. This is awesome fun. It was just perfect, he was right in front of me, made the little cast, turned onto it, bang. Good fish in skinny water. Could be a PB. Yeah. That's the best one I've caught today, so that's definitely my PB. Woo! That was awesome, mate. He's just there. It's like fishing in an aquarium. He suggested we look into getting a slightly longer rod to get a bit more punch on our casts. So we came across one of these Bone Fishing World. It's called the Voyage. This is called the Salt Finesse model. This is an 804. This is a beautiful little rod. Beautiful little rod. Very lightweight. Matches up perfectly with the little reel. I'll talk about that in a second. Very handy because you can get this in your suitcase. And this was lucky on this trip because my rod tube got bumped off the flight, and I didn't actually get my tube of other rods till 6 days into the trip. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't that great, so I never really missed them because I did most of the flats fishing anyway. I didn't get a chance to go out and do some of the other stuff, like stick baiting, etc. Just didn't have the conditions. So this was handy because this was in my priority case. So if you ever come into Cocos, make sure you put a travel rod, your fligs, whatever little lures, your leader, your reel, all your wading gear. Make sure you've got everything ready to go in your priority case. And if you can book a second case, no problems, but just be aware that that may get bumped off the flight. And then you don't want to be sitting around, especially if the weather was perfect and you didn't have any gear. It'd be very frustrating. So yeah, that's the Bone Voyage Salt Finesse. Great little rod. To be honest, I'll probably be buying another one. Reel wise, I upgraded a little bit this time around. Got myself a nice little Stella 3000. Been a great little investment. Beautiful little reel. I've got this one full of 10-pound braid with a 16-pound fluorocarbon leader, and that is sort of like matched up perfectly with my travel rod there. Once again, make sure you keep that spool nice and full. A smooth drag is essential. Bonefish, great sports fish. They will test your tackle, even though it's only light gear. You need a good smooth drag. You need quality line. You're going to need a quality leader. You're going to need a quality connection between the braid and the leader. I like using the FG knot. That seems to work best for me. And with these travel rods, they've got very fine guides. So you have that really fine connection between your leader and your braided line. And it just flows through the guide, and there's nothing's restricting your cast or impeding it. So yeah, this has been a great little investment. So as I said before, if you can afford to, buy once and cry once. On from there, I've talked about the fluorocarbon leader. It's good to have some 20 and some 16. That's pretty much all you need. You know, one spool of each. I think there's 30 metres on there. That's going to last a trip, no problems. We've done very well this time. I think we've only lost one fish to sharks on the flats. So sometimes that isn't always the case at Cocos. They can be a little bit painful. But this time around, they've been pretty good.
Hey.
What else you need? Just a little pair of pliers. Most of the time you don't actually need those to dehook the fish. Bonefish just got like quite a coarse mouth, but there's no teeth. I've just got some little grinding plates inside which grind up whatever they're eating, the crabs or shrimps, etc. This is more just for sort of like tying up, trimming your leader, etc. A little pair of braid scissors could also be handy. Now the important bit, the fligs. Right, so the fligs, I do 3 different versions of the fligs. So I've got this one here, it's called the Old Faithful colour scheme. It looks like a shrimp. You get like a great little pulsing action through the water, those little legs and feelers as you sort of like working it. Bonefish seem to prefer the natural coloured fligs. So I've got the Old Faithful colour scheme there. The other one that's also been very successful, and probably my favourite, is the Captain Smith. So this has got amber eyes, white binding, very, very similar. Once again, nice little action, those legs pulsing through the water. And the third one I do is what's called the Firecracker. Okay, been well loved, this one. Looks a little bit ratty, but still good to go for plenty of fish. So you've got the orange legs, the orange head. These are more for your barred trevally, bluefin trevally, species like that. Bonefish, not so much. We've tried them, but they're interested, but they don't really commit. Whereas with the more natural coloured shrimps, that's the way to go. All right, so there's our fligs. Size wise, so we've got size 1, which has got a size 1 heavy duty hook. That's about 1/9 of an ounce. And then I've got size 2, which is obviously a size 2 hook, and that's about 1/12 of an ounce. So just depending on the scenarios, if it's really calm, you can get away with the lighter head. This trip been a bit breezy, so I've been using the size 1 more, just to get that punch into the breeze. Because the water's been a little bit stirred up, the plop of the flig as it hits the water doesn't really disturb the bonefish too much. Now with the fligs, you need some way to store them. So basically, any little fly box, you're going to good to have just a small box like that. And then you sort of like, that can just go in your backpack on the day. And then I've just got a larger pack with some different sizes, etc. And that sort of like just stays back in your room. And then you can always, each night, as needed, just sort of like top up. Just make sure you've got plenty of gear, because when you're out on the flats, you're a long way away from anywhere. Okay, final piece of the puzzle for myself is a decent backpack. And I started off just with a fabric backpack on the first trip. I soon realised that wasn't going to cut the mustard. Particularly, accidents do happen. You do trip over every now and then. There's nothing worse than having your camera or your phone or something in your bag and you trip over and then it gets wet. Thankfully that didn't happen, but I did get a bit of water ingress. So did a little bit of research on the net. I've got a Yeti icebox, which has been awesome. I'll give one of these Yeti bags a go. So this is the Panga 28. It's a totally waterproof bag. It has absolutely been bulletproof. It's pretty much covered in salt and that at the moment. It needs a good clean, but that has been fantastic.
Oh, nice one, mate. Nice one. The other one.
That's a good fish.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
I can't see the flig, mate. It's down his pile.
So it's got a very stiff zip. Okay, you've got a couple of sections in there. And you've got a zip section. And a zip section there. You've got a nice pocket at the back. Works really well. Plenty of tie down straps on it if you need to lash your rod tube, rods or something to the side. And then just for my phone and a few other quick items, I just added on one of the Yeti sidekicks on the front there. Again, it's a waterproof. It's got a magnetic seal there. There's clips, and that goes down onto the Velcro. So yeah, as you can see, it's covered in salt. Needs a good wash. Still got a couple of days to go yet, but yeah, when I finish up, I'll give that a wash. But yeah, so Yeti Panga backpack, highly recommend it. Strong, and hopefully many a trip to go.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.